Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for watching all those ads. Hope you enjoyed some of the Ting ones. They're actually really good production. So,
And they're not super fucking loud this time, because season 1 we definitely had that problem where I had to put
yeah,
them at like 1% volume.
they are apparently a little loud for some people. But I know I fixed it since the last time I cast as well, where they were also a little loud.
Well, apparently, never mind. I spoke too soon. Whatever one you got playing right now on that stream delay is really loud. I got the sound on, and that was a mistake. But okay, we are not stuck in the past. Of course, moving forward, the losers match currently at hand, and this, of course, could determine which of these will determine which of these players is knocked out of the tournament here in the round of 32. Spawning in the bottom left side, playing for Flipside Tactics, and the only non-Root Gaming member of this group. It's gonna be the Blue Zerg, JonSnow.
In the bottom right, as the Red Protoss, he's Roots puCK.
All right, so puCK just had not a great series. A part of what we talked about had a bit to do with the balance of the matchup and us regularly seeing Terrans win, and for that reason, cool, Kellizer got the victory. But I really thought puCK was going to take that series. That just it started off well. He looked strong despite that one shaky game, but we see how he does now versus Zerg.
Yeah, maybe this matchup he's feeling a little bit more confident in.
Oh gosh, the bets are they're not closed, but they're really one-sided. There's not even 4 digits on JonSnow. It was 15,000 on puCK. So, where's Spear Dragon when you need him?
Where is Fear Dragon?
Actually, he would probably still bet on puCK.
Yeah, he would. Yeah. Well, like I was saying, that the matchup might be better for puCK, but I was also going to add that it seemed like he was kind of having that snowball effect with his mentality. The second game that he lost, he didn't seem to look so hot as like the first game that he won, right? And that third game, he obviously just made a huge mistake and was quite upset with himself. So he was pretty eager to get this going, didn't really care about the coin flips. And I'm worried that he's letting his mentality get the best of him, as we did talk about that earlier.
Yeah, puCK, that's tournament organizer here. When he says he doesn't care about vetoes or picks, it's not nonchalance, that's oh dears.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe a good solid win the first game will bring back his like optimism or something like that. JonSnow, I mean, he's not. If I was to rank like the order, if like you actually bothered playing the third, fourth, I would say Hydra first, Kel second, I suppose now. None of these won, and then puCK, and then JonSnow. So unfortunately, the point is JonSnow would be on the bottom. But I don't know. Like his versus Protoss is pretty good. It seems to be a pretty good matchup in general, one that Zergs can be confident in. Like, it's not super underpowered, right? But it is down to the person. Really, the Protoss matchups are pretty close to balanced nowadays. There's some imbalances, I suppose, at certain stages of the game, like really late game for Protoss, maybe a little bit. And we might get there in Ruins of Endion. I feel like if puCK tried to actually get there on purpose, like kind of play turtley, he might have a good time.
Well, the dev's looking to get hopefully something done.
Yeah, unfortunately, doesn't look like they're getting too much. Of course, making lings, not making drones. Gets 2 drones now, as they dodge and weave. Dodge and weave. And they're still pretty healthy, too. He's really just trying to take care of them with the queens, and the lings follow the shades, and it's, like, not quite working out.
Yeah, actually this getting dealt with a lot easier than I thought it would. Other side of the map, JonSnow has Overseers inside the main and the natural, so pretty easy scouting for him.
Cute placement of his tech structures. These are both not unexpected, but if it was like a situation that there was like a Dark Shrine... Oh no! Uh-oh.
Well, that's gonna really suck actually. The pylon going down is one thing, it takes away from the wall off, but it's also one less overcharge for that defense. Pylon to the north side, the Mothership Core is running up there, but by the time she overcharges it, it's pretty much gonna be dead.
Yeah, it kills like 2 lings. Won't stick around to try and get the Nexus low. I guess he figures there's enough reinforcements. There really isn't a lot, though. He warped in 3 of the 3 gateways, but he just put some money into that tech, of course, in the third base itself. Maybe a little bit of a missed opportunity from JonSnow, but oh well. Warp Prism now come across the map. I'm gonna have to wait for those Adept Warp-ins. Could return some of that damage. Not that JonSnow did a lot, just an obnoxious amount that, you know, you're like, okay, why did I let that happen? What did this see? Oh, I actually didn't see the Robo. Ha! Told you it was clever placement. But you would assume that it's there. In fact, the queens, yeah, are ready to go.
Yeah, I'm just gonna shooing off that Warp Prism. Get out! This is our house. Link's gonna be knocking down the rocks, which is kind of odd. Normally we see it the other way around. It's Protoss who knocks down the rocks. Actually, I guess not really touching base on that. Classically, it's been Stargate openers for almost 100% of the PvZ games we've seen on this map.
Yeah, it is a very popular opener on here, especially if they're going to go for a quick third, not like some people cheese, which is what puCK did. I mean, this is not cheese, not all in, it's just harassment to secure the third base and maybe, you know, get some really good drone kills, so it's not happening right now. Interesting choice from JonSnow. I was going to bring up that, like, he hasn't chosen for a Baneling Nest, he hasn't started his Hydralisk Den as that lair finished up, so what was he going to do? It feels like it's been a very long time since we've seen a Spire put down at, like, right off the bat, like, as the lair choice.
Yeah, a lot of the times this is the, oh, here's the opening in the late game because they've invested in, like, 1 million Immortals and Disruptors and Adepts, but maybe this catches puCK off guard, because I mean the thing is, showing the Warp Prism, you know that he didn't open with the Stargate. You know that, okay, maybe there might be Blink and a couple overcharges, but realistically, something he could potentially get away with. I also like this because it also speaks for the possibility of course, Broodlords later on, but we'll put an asterisk in that for the time being.
JonSnow's getting some very good scouting, confirming, you know, for one, that there's not a Stargate, as you were talking about. It could also try and confirm that Blink wasn't on the way, but, I don't think that puCK has to show Blink to kill an Overseer. Actually, just seeing how many Stalkers there are usually tells you if they're getting Blink or not. And puCK did just warp in a bunch. That's still not a reason not to go for a Spire, though. Stargates do start up now. He did see the Spire, so he should be good. And the Blink is just like that initial defense that makes it a little bit easier. As long as you get up to the Stargate, you should be fine against the Mutas. And there's not really that many on the way. Is he larva blocked? Yeah, that's what the problem is. He has a ton of mineral and gas.
I was gonna say, that's a lot of money, yeah.
Not enough larva.
puCK knows this is coming. Double Stargates are coming down and ship weapon upgrades. So he's reacting to this nicely. You know, Scout on the Spire is one big detail, but actually getting units and not insisting on sticking with ground. I think a lot of the time, a player who already has Blink Stalkers would instead continue to invest in weapon upgrades, Archons, and Stalkers. To actually go into Phoenixes this late, it's not a bad choice. It's gonna be interesting to see how effective it is, though.
I'm interested to see how much JonSnow dedicates to the Mutas. He's not getting any upgrades for them, and if he has to dedicate, if he wants to dedicate, he'd have to add on Corruptors, too, to deal with the Phoenix. It looks like his plan is just to go back into that solid ground army of Ling, Roach, Ravager. Emphasis on the Lings with these upgrades, but also adding an Infestation Pit. I wonder if that's for a couple of Fungals, or for a quick Hive, and go up to Ultras really quickly.
With the Ravagers coming down and the melee upgrades, I think it'll be a little bit of both. You're going to want to have 1 or 2 fungal growths to make sure that you can land those corrosive biles, but also, you know, look towards that late game tech. If you've been investing in melee, you definitely are looking towards more Lings, possibility of Ultras, but most likely Broodlords. I just want to point out, though, JonSnow has really gone crazy with his side of the map. 5 bases down, a lot of creeps spread out, like, control is on his side.
These Mutas have really not done a whole lot. They are very well reacted to, and just, puCK has decent enough coverage of the map. Got this Olaga, okay, there's a little too much over here, there's an observer here.
They did do something, though. They had him place down 2 Stargates and start investing in weapon upgrades.
Sure.
And while these didn't do something in a conventional sense of picking off probes or being really harassy, this is a lot of tech that puCK's investing into that will not work. And this is, by the way, the rare situation where, first off, I really like Lings, because you can't pick up all the Lings possibly with all the Phoenix, but also, if it is going to be Ultras, Phoenixes can't touch those either.
So, I don't know about that. Like, if he had over-dedicated to Phoenix, I would say absolutely, but he stopped pretty early, realizing that the Mutas aren't going to be that type of Mutas. And double Stargates are where you want to get to anyways, after you got to 4 bases, because the idea of a Hive on the way with Broodlords and even Ultras is too high. This has been one of those games that's just been super passive. I guess he doesn't see the Infestation Pit. No, he hasn't. But it is around that time that you can just kind of be like, okay, they probably are on their way to a Hive. Muta's just absolutely get wrecked, by the way.
Well, I mean, that's the. You gotta think actually, Protoss have so much more designed to hard counter Zerg than anything else in the game.
Well, I mean,
versus Mutas, Tempest versus Broodlords.
That fits the campaign, right?
I guess, yeah, a little bit. These Lings get shredded on the front line, though. The force field was not good out of puCK, but even then, still takes a really great fight.
Yeah. Upgrades about on par with each other. No one's really fallen behind. 2-2 versus 2. It's where the Protoss usually is. It's where current their Zerg styles usually are. It is going to be that Greater Spire, not the Ultra's Cavern. I mean, the lack of Immortals, like, it's not those, like, 10 Immortals we usually see with Charge-Lots and Archons. I think Ultras would have actually been, like, in a very rare scenario, okay. But still don't like Ultras too much against Protoss now. So I definitely appreciate the Greater Spire. It is something that now puCK can respond to, though, once he adds a Fleet Beacon. Get some Tempests.
This is going to be interesting, though. The Viper's coming out with this, too. We're able to Parasitic Bomb the Phoenixes, potentially. I mean, we all know Parasitic Bomb's kind of blech in general versus Protoss, but we'll see how this plays out. Now, it might not be a direct investment in this. He still has to actually worry about what composition there is, and there's an Ultra's Cavern coming down to possibly pair out with it. But I think he's going to notice, like, okay, maybe it's not a lot of Phoenixes, but as you pointed out, there's not a lot of Immortals either. And while Stalkers can kite Ultras and Zealots and Adepts aren't bad, the thing is, Ultras are only scared of Immortals. It's the only thing they really fear.
I know I mentioned in the beginning of this game, that I was like, if puCK got to the super late game, he might feel confident. I didn't really think it was going to happen. But it is. Split map scenario coming down as soon as these Lings are cleaned up, and puCK does want a 5th base. Maybe you should go for this one. Interesting. But, you know, all the late game tech's coming down, too. Unfortunately, puCK, he is falling a little bit behind. I think, ideally, he would want Tempest starting now, but he's still dealing with this ground army.
And this is without that tier 3 element. This is Corrosive Bios and a lot of Lings, and it's working fantastically. puCK's army gets surrounded. The Immortals get chewed through, and this is where that opening becomes really nice for just about anything. He could go Ultras, he could go Broodlords, it doesn't matter. He's going to have the ability to do anything he wants.
I'm not honestly sure how... I mean, I saw it all go down, right? And I'm like, okay, the Lings are a good surround,
I saw what happened, but I don't understand what happened.
It's kind of the situation, though. puCK looked absolutely fine. Like, his army wasn't exactly the greatest. It wasn't, like, full of Charge-Lots or anything like that. But I thought it was, like, an even enough number that he wouldn't get demolished. But his ground army really did just get demolished. Now, luckily, he was banking so much, it didn't snowball. But this is... I don't know, it's not what I expected. He loses an army, he doesn't get the 5th base up, which I think is, you know, the reason he moved out in the first place. And while, yeah, he's starting to respond to that late game with Tempests, I mean, the 5th base is now going to be the main problem. And if he can never push out, if he keeps getting fights like that, then puCK's going to be in a lot of trouble.
So I must take away from StarCraft for a moment.
Okay.
Being that I'm not streaming, I get to kind of look at my phone a little bit more often during the cast, and just announced that Bryan Cranston's going to be Zordon for the new Power Rangers. What? That's awesome!
Who is that?
Bryan Cranston, the guy from Breaking Bad, or Malcolm in the Middle's dad.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
Bryan Cranston is actually awesome in everything he's been in. He's been in so much more than what I just named, but anyways, just cool to see it. Big fan. Base in the South gets taken out of puCK. A bit surprising, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah, I kind of mentioned, like, this is a possibility, as they all focus on the top position, but this does feel like the backup option. Like, he realized he couldn't get this space, and was like, well, I might as well try this one. But when JonSnow has his Broodlords, and they're on the way, okay, one is on the way, when the rest of them are on the way, he could probably try and start sieging up this base, being the main point of contention. This is not a very good army. Disruptors have got to get good hits. Playing Stalkers, we gotta find a good position. There's a couple more Broodlords. Yeah, puCK needs his Tempest with this. There they are.
Of course, it's still gonna take like 5 shots to one-shot a Broodlord, but that's the point of having that 3rd Stargate. Production's not a problem. In Tempest, they only take 4 supply, as we've learned through Snoot's games.
If puCK could get this 5th base and a mass air army, I'm absolutely in favor of him in this game, but... Ducks go down, the Corruptors take out the Tempest one at a time, Lings try and get on top of the Stalkers.
The Disruptors take out all the Ravagers, so the Stalkers are free to just kind of blink forward.
Ooh, good Blinding Cloud. Really good Blinding Cloud. Huh.
That was a good Blinding Cloud, but even with the Tempest being taken out, they did their job. They took out the Broodlords.
Yeah.
So Asterisk here, he did a good job. Now, puCK, of course, sitting on 3 weapon upgrades, looking to continue pushing. We got a mortal transition coming out, or sorry, Ultra's transition coming out of this, and I love this because there are no immortals left. Only disruptors, stalkers, and adepts. And frankly, while kindness plating may not be done, Ultralists have got the damage and the base health to just take on these units.
I am really worried about that lack of plating, though.
That was a sick way to deny some Ultras.
Whoa.
The disruptors. That was very nicely done. Kindness plating now going to get denied. Maybe. Oh, it does go down. No kindness plating for the Ultras. And a big recall out of puCK. Barely gets that army out of there alive.
I don't think he had to recall, but it was the safer option. He just recalled to his 4th base, so very close to his 5th. JonSnow's not going to be able to get any counterattack damage done. Got to rebuild the Ultralist Cavern and then waits again for Kindness Plating to finish up. JonSnow's economy is really solid. He didn't have that much of a bank, and that was part of the problem of being counterattacked. And of course, all those Ultralists being cancelled was really quite cool. But it's very consistent, so he's still, back up to a good bank.
Well, it's funny you say that, because if you look at the income graph, actually, like, both of them were on very close. Because remember, guys, this is the differential graph. Like, look at that. For, like, a good solid 5 or 7 minutes, they were actually about even. And then JonSnow just spikes up and says, howdy doody, how's it going?
Yeah, I think taking these bases, and this space only just recently saturated, contributed to that. Well, puCK looked like maybe he had momentum on his side to win. Does get pushed back. His army still doesn't... It doesn't look super impressive for how late the game is. At this point, maybe you expect more of just like a mass Tempest army. But after that first pretty bad attack, he's been making it work. I guess that was just really him being caught off guard by how many Lings there were. And speaking of Lings, JonSnow should and has been trying to get Ling counterattacks done. When they're fully upgraded like they are, and they get into any little nook and cranny, they can tear down these buildings. Like, I would be terrified of them getting to the main base right now. Look at them go. They're gonna break down these rocks too. And we still have the problem that unless puCK can really take, really take a good army fight, he will start to run out of bases because he's having trouble getting up here.
Phoenix is getting some nice work done. Kind of living on what they can do, of course. JonSnow's Creature still going nuts. I really don't know who to give this game to. This is so it's gonna come down to compositions, and the only reason you would have the wrong composition going to this part of the game is because you scouted incorrectly or poorly, misread what your opponent was doing. Yeah. puCK's upgrades are great across the board, so are JonSnow's. These Corruptors could easily become Broodlords. These Disruptors at the south are going to be able to zone out anything JonSnow throws at them. I mean, this is such a weird state of the game, but I think it just like classically does favors Protoss going forward ever so slightly.
Yeah. I think that this isn't that point of no return yet, like Snoot, right? It's not a pure Tempest army with like 1 billion storms, and Storm is actually not even researched yet.
1 billion?
Yeah, 1 billion, seriously, that's how many he had. It is something that Corruptors and a good ground army, Disruptor shots, could take care of.
Back. Take all that back. It doesn't matter. There's a wall of cannons to fall back to. That's going to help a little bit, but all the Tempests are gone. He just lost those Disruptors on the front line. There's nothing to touch these Ultras, and of course, now the Ultras have that armor sitting on that wonderful +8. Nothing that this army can do. But the Sim City works out surprisingly well. The Archons get a couple of good hits, but all of that being said, puCK not looking like you can actually clean this up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you can start pissing on the cannons with the Nexus, like either one. Getting the Nexus at this point is actually really important, as puCK, as stated before, is running out of minerals. He still has a bit of a bank, and they end up trading more evenly than I thought, but losing that base really sucks.
Losing all these probes to go with it too, ouch. I was gonna say, look at that timing there. Storm is so close to finishing. If he had Storm on top of the Corruptors, Storm on top of those Lings, Storm in any capacity would have made for such a different fight. But really good micros, he focuses down one of the Ultralists. Problem is, though, there's so many limbs on the ground and Infestors coming on deck that puCK is really not in the clear. No matter what sort of fight he takes here and now, he had the bigger bank. He should have been able to remax better. He's going for Immortals right now instead of Archons, which means those Broodlords are going to be more effective than ever.
Good denial of Overseer.
Yeah.
Upgrades are looking pretty good across the board for everyone. Even got the shield upgrades, looking pretty good for puCK, but he did just take a very devastating fight in the fact that he lost a base. It said, the army supplies ended up being oddly even after what looked to be like a snowball from JonSnow, but...
on top of it, look at the resources lost. I didn't look at it for the last 5 minutes. I'm astonished how close that is.
I was gonna mention DTs, and I didn't realize puCK had gotten them out, but they didn't really do too much damage. These ones were caught pretty early on. Of course, sport colors were already all down and in like multiples too, because of those Phoenix earlier on. But that was something missing for the last like 8 minutes. puCK doing any extra damage, you know, killing bases. His Phoenixes, I believe, they died, so most of them did. So. JonSnow has been, like, you know, easily mining for some time. I guess they denied this base. This was being taken, and that's pretty good. The same way that puCK wants to get this base, JonSnow is going to want to get this base real soon, too. You should take a hidden one up here. Oh, anyway. Another DT comes in, is going to go for the Greater Spire. Warp Prism, the Spore Code is taken out by the Tempest earlier on. I think just as consequence of their AI, but also going to be really useful.
That's the Greater Spire dying, by the way, that we're not looking at.
I didn't think it was gonna die. Oh, there's the Banelings.
Okay, manual detonation is pretty sick out of JonSnow. Losing that Greater Spire would be so expensive. It looks like another DT getting warped in should be able to get the killing blow.
I can't believe he's gonna get it. The army was there.
This is huge though. This cuts Broodlords out, and right now puCK isn't equipped to deal with Broodlords. He's ready to deal with Ultras and Lings and everything on the ground, but he's not ready to deal with Broodlords. So with the 3, there's only 3 in play. This is actually a much more manageable fight for him. He's still in a lot of trouble, though, make no mistake. That's a bigger Zerg army than a Protoss army.
Quite scary. DT looks like he's going to take out some other structures. Spawning pool is going to go down. That might be a real surprise for JonSnow. Might not realize it and tries to remax on Lings. Was like, what's happening?
Is puCK Winston from Overwatch? Because these guerrilla tactics are fantastic.
Oh, you... Okay, now it's an extractor that's useless. Buddy, please. Goes for the Bailey Nest. That also wouldn't be too useful either, although we do have some being made, because why not? Spawning pool was recognized as having been lost. Okay, that's good. Oh, that was a good storm. Just to take out the mass amount of Lings will be helpful. But JonSnow is being very careful. He's not just going to push in. He doesn't have that same effect going. He doesn't have, like, you know, 8 Ultras ready to roll in here. And even if he did, the Immortal count has risen.
The other problem, too, is, like, there's not... Like, while he did get Storm, he made a lot of Archons. So it's not like there's 5 or 7 Storms waiting on the back end of this either. DT kills the Bailey Nest. Again, really great job over here.
Finally.
Oh, that gets killed.
The Broodlings kill one of the Broodlings. Why would they do that?
Broodling hype.
Wow. Cannibals. Alright, so I was wondering where puCK was going, and I guess he was just like, you know what? I can't save that base, so at least I'm going to kill a couple of yours, and maybe in the same process get this base going, but he misses an entire Ling flood, and that's not going to happen. Nope.
It's like, it's kind of, we're heading into base trade territory if we're going to be honest, and I think one of the nice things about going for the bases way up here to the north, A, he can recall, but B,
it's
unfortunate. But B, let's not forget that the Broodlord's going to take so long to reply. So, he's going to lose the ability to recall. This is actually kind of huge. Now that army is stuck to fight, and maybe not so bad. Again, there's fungal growth, sure, but there's such a big army.
Yeah.
Even if he gets stuck in place with a fungal, he could probably take a decent fight. I mean, this is only 3 Broodlords. This really isn't that scary. It's the Ultras and the Lings and the Banelings that are a lot more scary. The Depths managed to make it to the top left, so they're going to transfer and get some worker kills in a moment or two. The Immortals pop their barriers and start walking away. And looks like he actually did get that Nexus up in the top right. Like, what?
Yeah. I don't know how that happened. Oh, the Lings came back, that's right. So they didn't even deal with the probe that put that down. Adepts do some solid damage, 9 workers going down. They really aren't at any good, like, solid bank right now.
This is interesting to see no armor investments out of like he went for shields and that's great, but not really any armor upgrades this game.
Yeah, now that's not really going to be happening at all. Look at that gas. JonSnow, he could just invest more into spellcasters with the amount of gas he has and probably be better off for it, really. Abducts, fungals, all pretty good things.
Those Phoenixes could actually be very important later on. They can't fight the Corruptors, but they can still fight the Broodlords.
I'm so surprised JonSnow, I mean, he's trying to take this base, which is fine, especially as focus moves away from the south side. Warpers have never died, by the way.
This is not the game 1. I'll remind everybody real quick. This is not the game 1 I expected out of these two.
Yeah, besides just not really expecting a 25-minute game, with how the engagements have gone, I really thought someone would have snowballed by now. You had puCK take a disastrous engagement here. You had JonSnow like almost look like he just like threw away too many units over here, and it's still going on in a very even fashion. They're both broke. puCK even has more probes than JonSnow, but they have very even army supply and pretty even upgrades.
Do you want to build a snowball?
No. I want to throw a snowball.
I was singing the Frozen song. Do you want to build a snowman?
I know, but you said snowball.
I know, because it's It's almost. This,
I know.
It's such an easy joke. I don't know how you don't get this. I'm not gonna explain it to you.
Yeah, I need it explained really badly. Oh, this could be the last fight of the game. See how evenly it trades out. The Corruptor's feeling pretty useless right here. The Broodlords are being sniped. The last one goes down.
He's got a Kaitos Immortals though. While they're really good at fighting, they should be sitting in the front lines. The Ultra's starting to disappear. Only a handful of Banelings remain, and puCK may have just done it with that fight.
He might have.
Dying out on the other side of the map while this goes on. All the drones dying, down to 14 remaining. DT's doing work.
The Corruptors could piss on this building. They should piss on this building and make it somewhat more even once again. There they go. Even if one or two dies, I think it'll be worth it. If all of them die, I don't know. Oh no, they actually gonna kill it? No, they're gonna kill it. Yeah, but they're all gonna die for it.
Is it worth it though? I mean, it's so dire, and I mean, JonSnow knows his economy's in the gutter. He knows that puCK's economy is also in the gutter. This is so strange. I don't know how to assess the situation, but it definitely looks better for puCK in all regards.
Yeah, his army is looking better right now, and he does replace the Nexus pretty easily up here. And even it almost has another one for this base too. JonSnow, I'm gonna blame the DT cleanup. It's not been like one DT that kills 40 drones, but it's been one DT that kills a couple of critical buildings. It's been one DT that blocks out this base up here. It was one DT that killed like 60 more drones over here. And JonSnow just didn't really ever have like an easy, quick cleanup of them. So they've been probably messing with his head too, like making him think one thing and then missing out on another. So well done, DTs. Phoenixes also, I guess, deserve a little bit of a highlight because very early on, I mean, this is like 15 minutes ago, right? But they were adding up those drone kills. What is the total for this game? 77 drones killed to 44 probes.
Huh. That's actually not as high as you'd think for a 30-minute game, but I guess so much of this really has been revolved around army fights and not so much around worker harass or drops. I mean, like, Mutus, let's not forget that Mutus, I don't think, killed a single worker this game.
Right? Yeah. I think they had like 2 at the third base before puCK could react, but those were pretty useless.
Something like that. But I mean, that's the emphasis of this. Like, it really wasn't an economy game so much as it was an army game. And these DTs, by the way, are starting to win on both fronts. Nice pick up on that War Prism, too. Shuttles them out alive. Back on the other side of the map, though, I mean, okay, there's some exposed bases, maybe, but the production's not being attacked while this goes on. JonSnow might find no defenses back down to the south. And sure, puCK might get some money, but it's not going to matter if he can't build anything.
He's not going to be able to take on the army.
I think trying to fight the army up here is a mistake. I think going for the production buildings of puCK and cutting his legs out from under him would probably be a much better way to fade this out.
I agree. And there's not really a reason to commit his army over here. He got the Nexus, and he could have escaped if he didn't bring his queens here, too. Oh, well.
It's a cool attempt with the changelings to block, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, GG. Long game number 1, but it's going to go in the favor of puCK. Now, that was a particularly long game, guys, so we're going to go to a small commercial break while we get game 2 set up. I'm sure the players wouldn't mind the moment to breathe, and we'll see you guys here real soon.
Hey, everyone. We are almost ready. puCK probably taking a breather, as he's just the one waiting on. We're going to be going to Dusk Towers.
Yeah.
It's the third map.
This one could be a long one, too, all things considered. But I'm going to be actually ducking away for the first part of this game. Hopefully I won't miss much, but as it turns out, these evening casts, if I don't eat beforehand, I can't. I'm dying, guys. So I'm gonna take a small break here. And Zombie Grub, I leave you in the capable hands of Zombie Grub to take you through game 2 at least.
Game 2. Oh wait a minute, it's game 2. Uh-oh.
What did you do?
Made the wrong map. Pretty sure.
Oh.
I'll probably have to just tell them. They actually might not care, but.
We should do it right. We should host it correctly.
No one noticed.
Okay, well, Gucci. All right, so I'm glad I didn't walk up and go away.
Come back and be like, where'd everyone go?
Yeah, why am I not in that game? What's happening?
Yeah, it's Ruins, Frozen, Dusk, Invader Frost. Whoop.
By the way, checking the bets for this, there's about 6,500 on JonSnow and 21,000 on puCK. So the audience today is very, very much cheering for puCK.
Okay. Now we're in the right map.
Okay. Then I am going to duck away and be back in a bit.
Okay. Well, that leaves me and you, chat. Me and you. Oh, okay. Well, actually, I'm kind of glad it's not Dusk Towers. As Rifkin was saying, it could also be a long game, and I wouldn't want to solo cast that for too long. Frozen Temple, I don't think we've seen very many games go past even 15 minutes, to be honest. It's one of those smaller maps. But alright, in the bottom right, after 29 minutes or something like that, he is down 1, unfortunately. It is the blue Zerg, JonSnow. In the top left, as the red Protoss, he is Root puCK. Let's flip this. I feel like you guys don't notice, first of all, the lack of map intros, or like the different observing, or, you know, whatever else that Rifkin does differently when he's streaming. I feel like people usually notice that I don't change the names to reflect their spawn positioning. That's what one guy always like calls me out on like about 20 minutes into the cast. I never bothered me before. It still doesn't really bother me, but I figure you guys like it, so it's not that hard to remember, I suppose. But anywho, this game should not go on longer than that game, that last one. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if JonSnow was the guy that was like, I don't want that game to go on that long. Let me do something a little more aggressive. Because really, they both kind of admitted that it was Ruins of Endion, and that their rocks are being broken down, and that they're both going to get the third bases. So it was set up to be a longer game, but they were also really just consequence of how the engagements went down went on, I think, longer than either one predicted. Because it wasn't super passive. It wasn't like 30-minute no rush, but it was, you know, 12, 13-minute no rush, a little bit of harassment, and then butting heads and deflecting off each other until eventually harassment went into puCK's favor. So JonSnow, I mean, he has some control as the Zerg player in this matchup. It has really changed from Zerg being the race to react to being, you know, the race that Protoss fear. They can all-in. I mean, there's a very popular all-in where you spread creep a little bit down here and try and all-in with Roach Ravager. It's old-fashioned and it doesn't work as well anymore, but it still exists. And of course, there's other, you know, options. We have Ling Baneling now available, so I'm not sure what type of Zerg player JonSnow is usually, like most of the time, but you have some players that love Ling Baneling. You have some players that still love good old-fashioned Roach Ravager or Hydra Lurker. And it also, I guess, depends on the map as well, but I'd be interested to see what JonSnow does. puCK, I mean, it's not like he has no options, and in fact, it's pretty like Twilight Council right there. It's just that I do think that Zerg right now are the ones that are kind of frustrated with late game EVP, more so than Protoss. Not that puCK loved that game either, mind you, but still. Lings do dart off to the north side, a little bit sneaky, but of course that means they won't be here to help out against a single adept. And while it won't do devastating amounts of damage, it might get 1 or 2 drones where, you know, we would have gotten, you know, maybe 0 had Lings actually been out. 6 Lings are on the way, and these 2 Lings... Oh, there's another adept anyway, so they really don't do very much except scout. They get to scout the Robo, but we're actually blocked out by that high ground vision from that adept. Doesn't scout the Twilight Council up there either. This seems to be just a position that puCK really likes to put his tech structures in. It's really clever, you know, in a way. Because if you are going to try and deny Overlord scouting, you know which way they're going to come in, here and here. So putting everything in the middle is pretty clever. But this adept still not dead. Lings are finally out, and they've split up to try and chase everything. Oh, we canceled it. That fooled even me. Spore Crawler, I guess, because he has to, yeah, cancel those. Gas Extractor and Spore Crawler saves both drones. And did that get anything then? One. Okay. Didn't need those 2 Lings anyway. 2 more gateways on the way. Roach Warren on the way for our JonSnow. Again, it's like, it's getting around that time to see whether JonSnow is going to continue producing drones or try and do something a little more aggressive. He has eyes on that third base to see how quickly puCK takes it. Of course, puCK can do some harassment before then or during the attempt to take that third base. With this Warp Prism on the way, and Resonant Glaives as well. And Ling tries to get back in. It does see the Warp Prism, but of course also the Robo, so it's not entirely unexpected. More Lings running across the map. Third base is going to be cleared up and taken, but while harassment goes down. JonSnow does go back into droning, so it looks like these roaches were just for in case. And you won't need to build too many of them. Lair now on the way as well, at which puCK will probably scout with his War Prism. Oh, Blink is very quickly following everything up. It feels like it's been a while since we've seen, I suppose, that really just basic Protoss build going into the double Robo, and that felt more like it was because so many people were going for Baneling styles, but I think puCK has always been a player that likes Blink Stalkers, so I think that explains him. And they weren't a bad choice last game, obviously. They did their job pretty well for 25 minutes. Adept harassment, that War Prism was scouted, but he wasn't quite sure when the harassment would come in. A little sidetracked too by this harassment over here. More Adepts going into the, oh no, the same Adepts rather, going to the main base. No, those are different. Yeah, he just had Adepts going in everywhere, and he has racked up those kills. Of course, getting a couple Ling kills with this as well. He could pick up one of these Adepts, he's got room. Or land the Adepts and kill the Queen. Get some fancy footwork in there too. And then save whatever he can elsewhere. That was some fancy footwork there. 11 drone kills, 12 drone kills the last second. A Queen, and I'm guessing a handful of Lings. Yeah, 20 Lings have gone down in this game. Not bad harassment, of course, because you know, puCK is going for the third base. We actually have the Spire on the way again, and maybe this is the way that JonSnow likes to play. I listed a couple of different ways that a couple of different Zergs will play, like a couple still all in all the time, you know, Baneling, Rich Ravager, Hydra Lurker. Tons of different ways. But, you know, you don't usually have to mention the quick Spire because most Zergs aren't going for it. JonSnow, I guess this is the way he likes to play this matchup. And seeing it in one game is like, maybe it's an outlier. But if puCK sees this in a second game, he's probably going to start predicting it every single game after that, you know? Getting the Stargate a little bit quicker, getting the Scout a little bit quicker, and probably doing better and better against it as the games go on. Not that he did poorly against it last game, mind you. Like, we mentioned the Mutas did absolutely nothing, but all it takes is like one miss scouts and thinking, oh, they won't do that again, for the Mutas to snowball and kill you in a very disappointing fashion. Now, this is a very odd little push. It's very small, but it has some very key units, and of course, accompanied by the Mothership Core means it could recall. I really like that these pushes have come back in a fashion. Gets the fourth base. Of course, it was that unexpected. Looks like this Warp Prism was also going to be able to distract, need be. Adepts going into the natural while it goes into the main. Not gonna unload though. Oh, there we go. Scouts the Spire, obviously. But 12 Mutas are already on the way. What do we have to defend against those Mutas? Just Blink Stalkers. And, well, whatever time he can buy by attacking into JonSnow. Base is gonna go down. Absolutely. I mean, Muta's able to clean this up, and he's got to have a recall ready to go, ready to go, ready to go. Oh, he doesn't actually get it. Okay, that's a mistake. But, I mean, what are you going to do? Like, send, like, Adept over, like, tap it? Seriously, like, that's going to go down really soon. But that could have gone from a base down and puCK feeling good to maybe the Mothership Core being sniped and him feeling really bad. So it was pretty important that he recalled safely, just, like, half a second too late, seriously. That also takes away that pressure I was talking about. The rest of the Adepts are all cleaned up, obviously. The drone count's not hurting so badly for it. So the Mutas are able to get across the map now. And that's something that, you know, you keep running Adepts in, even if they're not getting a lot done, will at least get the Mutas back, might be worth it to get the Stargates up. But even as JonSnow sends the Mutas across the map, looks like puCK's already on his way to Phoenix. He had that Blink ready to go for the initial defense, like I mentioned. It's not the end-all be-all defense, because they just won't catch up with him, but it is a start. There's that tap on that hatchery to get it down, and the Adepts, if they lose their lives, it was totally worth it. If they get a couple more drones, totally worth it. Actually, the Dark Templar is going to get a couple more drones. Overseer's already on the way, though. This isn't going to do that much damage. But now you know, like, the Dark Shrine is there. And it's going to have to be something that he deals with however long this game goes. I do think puCK's in a great position. He's got a fourth base on the way. He's got Stargates pumping Phoenixes still. He's got good scouting as well with those Adepts, with the Observer here, still not being picked off. Okay, now he sees it. I think he's in a really good position. But JonSnow, Mutas, man, like, Mutas can just make things go awry really quickly. I really don't think they can do it as much when they have Phoenixes, but it's still an option. JonSnow, he could just try and go for a Muta Corruptor. And if he wants to go for mass Muta, he's going to have to add in Corruptors. As puCK realizes, again with observers just littered around the map, that the Muta count's still growing, he's going to realize the necessity of a fleet beacon. And once you have that range of the Phoenixes, pure Muta is not really going to work out. But until he gets that range, pure Muta might be okay. Adept's finally taken out. They were just like chilling over there. I'm surprised they weren't taken out earlier. Without doing too much more, but that's still Muta's on the other side of the map. That's puCK feeling free to continue his Phoenix count, to get his 4th base. I mean, hell, he might be able to... Oh, yeah, no, he already has. There you go. Start getting more than just 1 or 2 cannons at each base in case the Mutas fly someplace that he doesn't have scouting. But these observers have been in like really good positions. Not even that many observers, just really lucky observer placement. Cannons will buy a couple of the seconds. There come the Phoenixes now, and there's a lot of them. They do run into the Mutas, though, so 1 or 2 are already taken down, but they don't really want to tango. Lings are kept away. Nope, a couple of them get in. Okay, and they're going to kill pretty quickly. They do have +2 melee against just the one, just one of puCK, but they're cleaned up. 4th base still here, 61 probes, still looking good, and an army that JonSnow really can't beat. I mean, the Phoenixes run into Mutas again, that's not ideal, but paired with Stalkers and Guardian Shield, at head-on fights, puCK would win, but that's not the goal of Muta players, is it? They want to have to base trade. Phoenixes come back, and that's probably enough, again, controlled absolutely correctly to take care of things, but Lings are going to start flooding in too, and that's where the Phoenixes might have trouble. But it's got to be more than just 10 Lings. It's got to be like 40 Lings, and JonSnow doesn't have it. GG, puCK takes game number 2. Look at that beautiful camera angle, because he's eating and doesn't want people to notice. Now we're gonna go to Dust Towers. I accidentally sent a party invite to Livy B. That's weird. How? Okay, whatever. But yeah, we're gonna go to a... Well, we did it after last game. I don't know. We'll see how quickly they accept these invites before we go to a break. It wasn't a super long game. But, you know, I gotta mention it about halfway into that game. Oh, ooh, a new sub. Even better. Ugo Levander. Thanks for being the new sub. Woohoo! But yeah, about halfway through that game, a little less than I suppose, I mentioned that if JonSnow's whole thing in this matchup is going for Mutas, that's something that puCK's just going to get better and better at responding to. She's going to know a lot sooner. And I really don't think that JonSnow going for Mutas is like necessarily that bad. It's definitely ended games stupidly quickly, but obviously it's not working, and he's like kind of quote-unquote wasted 2 Muta maps, so going for a 3rd one, don't think it's a great idea. He could try and change things up, and I really think that's the better option. But he do what he wants to do. Dusk Towers. Well, I'm not even gonna say I want Lurkers on this map. I actually want him to try and do a Baneling style. It's the new thing to do. Everyone's doing it. It's so hot right now. But it would be a drastic change-up. Whether it's Lurkers, Banelings, anything other than just pure Muta, it would change things up maybe enough to throw puCK off. Oh, in their positions? Nope, they're not. Okay. Game number 3. Damn it. And potentially the last game in this loser series. In the bottom left, he is up 2-0. It's Roots puCK. In the top right, as the blue Zerg, he's JonSnow for Flipside Tactics. Of course, in the winner's match, we have the rest of the Root guys waiting, Kelazur and Hydra ZVT for that winners. Whoever loses that will go on to face the winner of this in that decider match, and then whoever wins that decider match will go on to face the other second place winner of the other NA group, which was Major, at a later date. I believe he said July 2nd, because that's the way it worked. If you guys don't know, it is TING Season 2, so obviously it was Season 1, this isn't like Star Wars. And we wanted to invite the people who did well last season, a couple months ago it was, I believe. And to do that, we had to make some room in the round of 16 groups, and this is the best way to do it. It might sound complicated initially, but really when you see it, you know, in graphic form, I think you'll get it pretty quickly. Second place guys just have to play another best of 5, and then they're truly in. Scout shows a 3 base for 4, or yeah, a 3 hatch for 4 pool. I mean, not too surprising. puCK could also respond in kind with a little bit of greed. Obviously not like a 3 Nexus before Cyber X core, but still. This is usually not the end of the world. Yeah, you wish that you could forge, like, you could cannon rush it. Yeah, probably. Back in the day that was a thing, but oh well. That probe was a little bold, man. Like, it went not even to, like, the outer patch, it went to the inner patch. But what did I think would happen? Of course it was gonna die. But he got the scout needed to anyway. It would be, I think, ideal to have the probe maybe sit outside, like, over here and check again to see if the hatcheries are being saturated, because there are a couple of trick builds with thirds, you know? Not usually in ZVP, more in ZVZ, but it's always something to consider, I suppose. I think puCK will just see it as it is, and that's a macro game. Dusk Towers, macro. I guess I mentioned last game that puCK could also change things up. JonSnow, I think, has to at this point. Spire's really not working, but puCK could just be like... Especially if he thinks that JonSnow's going to go for a Spire again, he could definitely do a 2.5 base all-in, because, you know, if it's Dusk Towers and you don't see a third base, something's definitely up, and that's very obvious. But something like, you know, don't saturate the third base that much, or hell, even that all-in we've been seeing from Neeb once or twice, twice from him, and then once from Pili last night. That 10 gate, you know, like, don't take the extra gases all in with Adepts, that has been doing something real strong. Split correctly, that is. But no, never mind all of that. Double Stargates. This was the go-to build on Dusk Towers for a good, God, like 6 months actually. This has been in the map pool for a very long time. I'm surprised to see it brought back here, but it's not that it was ever bad. It did have a couple of troubles, maybe defending against like Ling attacks in the third and whatnot, but I wonder why he's bringing it back. It might just be a prediction of the future Spire, and if he already has Double Stargate, that's going to be slapped down so hard, JonSnow won't get anything with it. And that actually might be the reason. We'll see. As I said, JonSnow, I'd be so surprised if he went for mute as a third game in a row. If he does, it'd be a serious mistake, but okay, he's not. Phew. At least not now. The ban that's being added on, I guess, isn't the end-all be-all. It's obviously not Lair Tech, but he's gonna start things off maybe a little more aggressive. Again, that third base consistently being scouted by the Lings, still not seeing it down. You know that puCK's not being super greedy, but you gotta be wondering what's going on. And you gotta think that soon he'll take this third base. And JonSnow wants to be ready to cancel that. This is where Phoenixes really aren't that helpful. They can't pick up that many Lings. They can pick up some key Banelings, I'll give them that much, but they aren't going to be able to pick up all of these Lings floating across the map. Oh, he's even getting +1 for him. Unfortunately, puCK, you know, that probe was really his last bit of scouting, not even an Adept shading over to see how many Lings there are. And that might just kill puCK. It's, you know, it's not the worst thing to have to give up the third base, especially if you can cancel it and there's not, like, that many pylons that died and, you know, all that. But I think this would very easily go from the third base cancel to a bust in the main, and then that's where puCK obviously would lose. Like, he really does not have much to deal with this attack. The Phoenixes finally show themselves, by the way. It was kind of a cool trick to keep them hidden, but that's actually going to cost him some very important scouting that he might have already had he just sent them out one at a time. Here come the Banelings, and puCK sees it now, but what's he going to do? He's going to try and warp in a sentry as fast as possible. Oh, dear God! He barely gets the force field before the pylon goes down, but he doesn't have a second force field. Yeah, he's got to get the pylons down behind this. One more. Force field's almost gone. There it goes. But he has a pylon wall now. Is he going to do this without scouting it? And with Phoenix opener, this is a true all-in from JonSnow. He's just going to continue rallying in Lings. If he stops making Lings right now, okay, and he is, maybe he could macro out of this. Mind you, puCK still is not on a third base. Oh, he's about to break it. Oh, he's so close to breaking it. Oh, pylons need to come down. Pylons need to come down. There are 30 more Lings on the way. He can't go back and deal with this. He needs to get a pylon wall up, or this will actually be JonSnow's game. He's not watching it. He's dealing with the Lings, and this is going to be too many Lings to deal with. Oh, I think that might be game now. Phoenix is still trying to pick up whatever they can. One last Baneling, so this one will not be able to kill that many more probes, but here come the Lings, and they're going to get all the last shots on those probes. Good little SimCity trick here, but then has to fight with them anyway, so main base going to go down. No. Oh, Jesus. Pick him up. Oh, my God. He's not able to pick him up. He's still going down on those probes. Oh, Jesus. That Splash. Splash is still pretty good. And that's game. 9 probes left over. puCK, he tried something different. But so did JonSnow, and at a perfect time. Well, puCK, you know, he got 2 wins already. I can't believe this will send him crumbling in his mentality. Seems like he's kind of in denial right now, though. Nexus goes down. No gateways. This is game. I guess he won't believe it until his last Nexus go down. Again, this is correct score. puCK is up 2-0. This is not him going like, I can't believe I lost the match. It's him going, I can't believe I lost this game. I don't know how to hype this up anymore. There we go. GG.
GG! Perfect end return.
Yeah, of course. That took a while.
No, I was watching his APM while you're talking. I was finishing up here, and it went down to like 12. I'm thinking he probably tapped out. Or maybe he really did just throw his arms up in disbelief off. Oh, right, my camera. Or maybe he really did just throw his arms up in disbelief. Like, I can't believe I just fucking lost. Like, I have a hard time believing that would be puCK in that situation. But either way, this is going to send us to a game number 4. So we're going to play a small break while we get into this one, guys. And we'll see you in 2 minutes as I'm finally back, baby. What's up?
Hey everyone, welcome back. We're in a game number 4. Best of 5. There we go.
Yeah, and recovering off that last game, we were questioning whether puCK was tilted by that or not. Like, we didn't really know because it looked like that's a game you just kind of shrug and be like, yep, I guess I lost. But some tweets are made between games, and he may be feeling the burn a bit more than expected.
Yeah, I guess so. What did he actually tweet? I don't know.
Just like, better bailing all in, no third base on dusk, blah, blah, blah. And
okay.
as we see here, still a little bit perhaps salty about it. At any rate, folks, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the TING Open. YOLO is the response of JonSnow. Spotting in the bottom left, that blue Zerg with quite the mouth, I guess. JonSnow.
In the bottom right, as the red Protoss, he is Root puCK.
Yeah, so interesting story on that. I'm not sure if you talked about this maybe at some point while I was gone, but you know, puCK was on Root for a while ago, and it's maybe a good thing, but maybe a bad thing simultaneously. Root is really one of the last teams left that seems to actually foster its players' growth. One sec.
Bless you.
All the other quote-unquote teams that come out now are just like, I don't know, I think players look at them as free plane trips to events and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But Root has been pretty consistent at getting better results for its players, and it's not just because they picked up one Korean through Hydra. You look at every player on Root, and they've improved since Heart of the Swarm, and majorly so. Yeah. So I'm hoping with puCK joining them now, once again, we'll get this. I mean, he's already pretty good. We'll get to see a better one going forward.
Yeah. I think that it's really unfortunate, though. A team rarely helps when it comes to mentality. If it helped, Idra wouldn't have been Idra, am I right? Legitimately, Idra got a sports psychologist, I want to say. Like, that was his official title for a while on EG, so not that they don't try.
That was a cover. Like, he needed an actual therapist, but he couldn't say I'm going through therapy because that makes him look weak or something. But a sports therapist is new, innovative, and an aid to him.
I mean, is it though? I thought they've been around for quite some time.
I'm just shit right now.
Okay. Never mind then. But anyway, not to knock puCK, but obviously his mindset can be his worst enemy. Because I mean, that wasn't. Yeah, okay, that was like an interesting decision, right? And he's kind of, saying it in such a way that, why would you all in when you know that they're not being at all greedy? Like, no third base, why would you attack? I probably would have had units if I had gone for a Phoenix opener. But it's just like, you're so up 2 games before that. Like, in 2 pretty good games, like, I don't know if there's a really reason for him to just be like, suddenly just, 100-0.
So actually, on this topic, speaking of puCK being a little bit tilted about the choice for banlings or not. One of the things I can look at for that is JonSnow was losing pretty magnificently with standard builds that he is frankly good at, and he couldn't touch puCK. To do something crazy like an all-in, I think it had a lot less to do about seeing a third timing or the map being Dust Towers, and a lot more with JonSnow just saying, you know what, like literally he replied with YOLO, and that's right, YOLO, go for an all-in and hope it works because you are on your last life, and nothing you're doing up to this point works. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something similar again on Invader, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, that third base doesn't have drones coming out of it. It's got lings coming out of it.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, it's the trick, isn't it? Like, the probe scouted 3 bases, so you just kind of assume, especially on map like a Dusk Towers, but somewhat Invader too, it being big and all, that they're going to just drone it and not really make a lot of lings. But this isn't the all-in amount yet. This is actually maybe a little too many to deal with the Adepts, but still just good anti-Adept defense. He could try and send him across the map, of course, as speed finishes and hit the third base that puCK may or may not be thinking of taking, and I'm going to guess he is. He's only going for 3 gateways. This is the build we saw in Frozen Temple. And if the lings go across, they can snipe the probe, and then they can be followed up with potential roaches. There's that they're going down. And that could be a very good attack for JonSnow. Still up in the air if he's going to all-in off of it, of course. He's got drones on the way, he's got gases on the way, but he could get a cancel.
Lings are about to catch these pylons going down. This will be really nice because, of course, they can't overcharge yet.
Yep. There's that cancel. Very nicely done.
Ooh, I didn't expect to cancel on the Nexus as well, but yeah, nicely done. Whole base gonna get shut down. He could overcharge it, but it's not gonna be worth it. Just save the energy for anything else.
Yeah, for sure. Overlords have been scouting the main, by the way, and they see a very, what they saw in Frozen Temple, and it's a very usual Protoss build, nothing sneaky over here. What is sneaky is that proxy pylon that went down. It was a slow Adept warp in, but it does mean that there's going to be multiple Adept attacks, which is something that JonSnow has had trouble dealing with before. Does react pretty quickly. You know, the Warp Prism is, it's very obviously going to go in the horizontal direction with the spawns and all, so Spore Crawler is already in position. And these Adepts are doing okay amounts of damage, trying to focus fire on those drones as they die. Get a little bit of scouting as well. See just how many roaches are on the way, but not enough to like be truly scary. Did you see the lair start? I guess that's like a little bit of like, roaches in no lair, but he should be able to scout it's on the way, or just realize that an attack isn't on the way. And he's fine to go. Another depths being warped in. Not so much with the proxy pylon anymore. That might stay alive for a long time, though. I don't know if Johnson's gonna be looking around for it. This Warp Prism... okay, it's a couple lings over here. Another Warp in, they'll be able to take care of the lings, but they're a bit scared of being focus fired by the queens. That Warp Prism already a little bit low, after all, so... Good retreat. Better have this alive and return later than try and get some decent damage done and let it die. Let's oh, I thought he was attacking the Overlord. Breaking down these rocks. Bothering to.
Oh, okay, there we go. I had, I guess, that bug that you had mentioned before. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm just following these lings around nowhere. Like, what? So the camera, I guess, was not, not following your camera. I was just, like, bewildered as to why I was missing out on this.
I'm just a really good observer. I follow lings all day. That's how I do.
Yeah. Just control F and walk away from the keyboard. Drop the mic, and that's how you cast.
Yeah, exactly. Warp Prism, as I said, is still going to be able to do damage, and this is the Spore Crawler over here, the Queen actually in position, and suddenly that Warp Prism is just more and more scared to do anything, but also going to scout the 4th base. Spire again. I don't mind it as much as if he had done it for the 3rd game in a row, but doing it just in general 3 times... I don't know. But it looks like puCK isn't responding at all to it. In fact, going for double forge right now.
Maybe this is all part of his strategy. He had to just break puCK mentally first before he could get away with going for the Spire. Now that he's done that, boom, Spire's back in out. It's on the menu, boys!
It sounds kind of funny the way you put it, but I think that might exactly be his plan here, like hoping that he does catch puCK off guard. But unfortunately, puCK might catch JonSnow off guard by pushing before his Spire's done. And his ground army isn't terrible, but it's certainly not set up to deal with as much as puCK has. Look at that army supply difference. He's still banking so much in upgrades that aren't done and just banking in general for those mutas.
Even if the mutas come, it's going to be like 4 or 5, something that can't really deal with the stocks. I like that he goes for the Ravagers behind this. Not sure if they'll be done in time to save much. This 3rd base is dead for certain. Almost gets the sentries with that corrosive bile hit, though. Damn!
That would have been good.
This is with the 4th, though. This combo out of puCK is brutal.
It's probably... well, maybe not game-ending. He still got to deal with mutas, but killing 2 bases is pretty big. Yeah. What's interesting is that puCK... I don't think he was scouted, by the way. No, he never was again. But it almost looked like the double forge was a fake. He either forgot to send the other one, or did he cancel it? Oh, he canceled it. No? Wait, what's the other one? Well, the point is he isn't using it.
Oh,
what is it doing over there? What?
Creating the sickest
Cool.
wall of all time, Zombie. What do you think it's doing over there?
That's actually pretty cool. I've never seen that before. But anyway, he didn't use it as a point, so I don't know if he saw an opportunity or he meant to make it as almost a fake, or I don't know, but it's cool. And this attack is really worked out. It's still working, too. I'm glad that puCK realized he didn't quite have to leave yet.
He's down in upgrades, but only for about a moment. Those are going to finish up here in about a few seconds. I mean, killing the third and the fourth was already enough damage. Dedicating too much more would be looking for a kill, and I don't know that he's doing that just yet. Mutas do reveal themselves on the other side of the field, and maybe these will do some damage. They get pushed out to that third base pretty quick, though, by an overcharge and a couple stalkers.
Yeah, not doing so much. Looking more like the Ruins of Enyon game, but with a huge army looming over JonSnow's not-so-huge army. Well upgraded, though. Give them that much. 1-1-1 across the board. But especially when they're cut off by force fields, not looking so hot. Try and get on top of those sentries with the Corrosive Vials.
He breaks it, but he hits himself with some of the Corrosive Vials walking through the broken force fields. Not sure if necessarily worth. This is pretty scary, though. Another base goes down. Of course, JonSnow is really banking on this, not just because he needs some income, but that would have been production and larva and many other great things as time goes on. The army supplies are still somewhat even at this point, but yeah, it's deceptive, guys. It's deceptive.
Oh, this is a really good surround. Yeah, it is definitely deceptive. puCK not paying attention for a second maybe was JonSnow's chance, but just blinks back. Gets the Warp Prism.
I was going to say, that being said, this was something where the stalkers aren't actually that great at fighting for long periods of time, but small engagements, disengagements like this allow them to get their blink off of cooldown and shields to regenerate. So better for puCK, especially with a fourth base being taken behind this.
Yeah. Again, he probably doesn't like super have to retreat, but it is at that point like no force fields. You're gonna want to be safer. You don't have an easy retreat without a recall or force field walls going down, and you don't want to throw away this game. It's pretty much puCK's. The Mutas really didn't work out, and while he still has the Spire, he doesn't have that much of a bank to be like, JK, here's a second surprise for you. It would be, again, like 4 Mutas, and he wouldn't be that surprised. So going into an Infestation Pit and probably into a Hive might be the better idea. Still something that he has to wait on, and puCK still has control over the game, so like anything JonSnow does is pretty dangerous, including moving out with his army.
Yeah. I mean, the Infestors are going to really shake this up. Fungal growth, holding things in place with the Corrosive Vials hit. Oh my god, that Disruptor hit was amazing. 10 kills on that bad boy with one wonderful shot.
Nice.
A wonderful shot.
Hey-oh. Infestors on the way. Not a Hive immediately. I mean, Infestors really do add a lot. You get a good Fungal and Corrosive Bile combination, just like versus Terran, but it's not quite ready yet, and those Blink Stalkers, they're trying to push in. There's so damn many of them. Okay, that wasn't too useful. 6 Infestors now, though. If he waits for them, that could be some serious combo. He's gotten his bases back up, by the way. I mean, he's lost 3 bases, and he has them both back up. He's starting to recover. Both getting maxed out, too. puCK getting a bit better of an army every single time he adds a Disruptor, but honestly not, like... He's not going up to, like, Tempest, right? Or Storm, or Charge Lots. He is just on this Blink Stalker Disruptor count, which Fungals and Corrosive Bile would probably do pretty well against. Yeah. If they just kill the Disruptors first.
That's a big part of that, right? I think that but... He's going to have a surround on him. The Fungal growth, not bad. This could be an okay fight. The Disruptors do get their shots off. Stalkers blinking away from this fight. Army supplies are trading up fairly even. A little bit worse for puCK now, though. And these Lings... Oh, these Lings never got dealt with. Is JonSnow really going to win off a pushback?
Oh, wow. Disruptor just misses those Lings. They're going to miss this Lings, too. Get the Ravagers! But there's still a couple more Infestors with Fungals. Yeah. And they're chasing puCK all the way back. Now, puCK's on 5 freaking bases. He could recover given a second.
Well, hang on, though. The problem is, though, his production isn't really there, so he's not warping in, 15 Zealots at a time. Oh, kind of a bit of an issue. In fact, sitting on 8 gateways isn't too shabby, but not enough for the amount of money he had. That would have been a very quick recovery if he could have warped in, like, 15 Adepts immediately on, say, the front line type thing.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, he's been missing this one warp gate for some time. Like, I checked 4 minutes ago and it was still a gateway. Oh, finally changes that back. We do have double upgrades being used too, as we look over here at the double forge. Mutas are being used as a warpers and cleanup crew, and that's pretty useful. Congratulations on finding your lot in life, Mutas. But Pylon's still gone, unkilled. He's gonna warp in some DTs, and this is where JonSnow had trouble. on that Ruins of Endion game. There's no Spore Crawlers. I don't think he has a Cautionary Overseer. No, he does not. He does have Fungals. And Overseer coming in now, but drones are going down, and puCK is buying time to get his army back up.
Yeah, and for the moment, it looks
oh my god,
like
he's
he
missing all his
is gonna get
Fungals.
just that,
He just missed 2 Fungals.
DT's looking from good. This is the Overseer. Don't clean this up. DT's, of course, won puCK a very cheeky game earlier on. I don't know if we'll see that same sort of wonderfulness come out of them. A couple meters just kind of stuck in the north doing nothing. But, I mean, JonSnow, all things considered, I didn't expect him to get his tech to a playable period. Like, we're on Hive tech now. That's a fact. Ultra Scavenger on the way. Greater Spark will get morphed in behind this. He's got a little bit of malleability, but the problem is he doesn't have money. Those bases being shut down earlier, and the bases now still not really being saturated. It's a tough spot for JonSnow, who's sitting on 40 workers coming to this late game, and no money to really invest into anything with.
Well, it's a game that I did not expect to go on there this long, especially since JonSnow looked like he was about to die.
That's the gist of this series, minus the last game.
Well, even the last game, puCK stayed in that game for a lot longer than
No, that's true. That's true. I guess. Yeah.
But yeah, that does actually sum up a lot of stuff. This DT survives. I think, you know, besides the possibility of DTs, having an Overseer is just useful so you can see that the observers are around. That's been a small-ish problem of JonSnow these past games, but not like super big. Gold base was a cool idea, but you know, it goes down without much to say about it. Probably should go back to taking these safer bases up to the top left, or even this base. DT still just chilling. I guess it's acting as a scout. There you go, moving in now. Overseer at each base, I love that. Okay, at least in the national base.
With how much DT's have been a problem, I think it's almost a necessity. It's not even something you compliment. You're like, good job. You're doing the bare minimum of what you need to do. But as we see, it's not going to work here. That Spore Crawler doesn't provide vision far enough. The Neural Parasite, though, in the production tab is something I'm really intrigued by. You can either remove all the Archons or all the Immortals from the fight. Maybe you steal a Disruptor and get a really sick head off. I don't know what his plans are for this, but it's not going to be easy to use.
Fungals don't really get a whole lot. Yeah, I really just don't think that Neural Parasite is good enough, unfortunately. Like, its range has been fixed or buffed or whatever you want to call it, because it's been different for the last 6 years, but it still is so hard to get the Infestors to live long enough to make the Neural Parasite worth it. JonSnow goes in with this army. He does have plating, and these Lings are well upgraded.
I mean, he's missed all of his Fungals. There's so many things to criticize about this, but puCK gets wrecked at the end of the day. 9 Templar coming behind this. This is going to probably be for Archons more than anything else, because he doesn't have Storm Research, but hell, even a feedback or two for these Infestors would just be fantastic.
Yeah. I quickly noted puCK's still on those 9 gateways, so he's not reinforcing very quickly with gateway units, but he does have double robo. He's setting up this cannon wall with the rest of his money. It's not a bad idea against Ultras, a little bit of SimCity.
I like it a lot, actually, especially with the pylons on the front lines. Overcharges are plenty ready on this Mothership core.
Does Johnson know about this top base? He does not. Okay, so it is going to be all about this right here. Cannon wall is still not quite complete, and Johnson just tries to go around
it's still a wall, which I think is the biggest aspect of this. There's really not enough to flood through it. Those Corsair Battles going to hit nothing.
That was really weird. It's quite
you
bad.
got all these cannons and all these pylons, and you managed to go in between all of them.
3-3's about to finish up, but, you know, puCK, he had that minute where he was starting to buff up his army against Ultras, more Archons, more Mortals, like a ton more Archons. I do think Storm is still worth getting. You know, it's not going to affect the Ultras that much, but it, you know, can, well, one, feedback the Infestors, the High Templars, and also help deal with the Banelings and Lings, which have been a major problem. The fact that they're getting surrounds, you know, it makes the Fungals almost like not even necessary. It's either or. Is he dancing? He's dancing. Did you see that? What the fuck?
He's having a good time.
Yeah, he is.
Don't stop me now.
The Nina's could at least scout that this is here.
I feel like he's either forgotten about them. I mean, pro players don't F2, right? So I don't think he actually knows he has them, and he hasn't selected them for some time. This fight comes in, and this cannon wall looks good to begin with. It's going to be Neural Parasites on the back line, get some of those Archons, but they're taken out really quick, and the Infestors just pop right off. Immortal's going to shell right through those Ultras. He was dancing them again. I think JonSnow knows where he's at. JonSnow is going to be out of the game. GG, puCK finally wraps it up. 3-1? Yeah, 3-1.
You're going to say 3-3, weren't you?
I was going to say 3-2, but I realized this wasn't the ace match.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought 3-3. Yeah, 3-1.
Congratulations to puCK. He'll move on to the finals of the group. Now we're going to go on to another matchup, and this one's going to be very wonderful. It'll be a TvZ Kelazur versus Hydra. Best of 5 winners match. We're going to go to a word from our sponsors. So TING Jesse has actually just left the chat as I read this, but the stream delay, so it was nice having him around, hanging out in chat and answering your guys' questions. But the company works for awesome people. They only want the best of things, plus they're supporting StarCraft 2. I mean, come on, what more do you need? So we're going to go to a word from our sponsors. Without them, we wouldn't have this awesome tournament, and we'll see you guys in a bit.